What's up, Internet? This is Oh So Curious. It's Three Curious Minds trying to dissect what's going on with our culture when it comes to media and movies and all the stuff that we're watching. The images and sounds that make up the subconscious of our stated it at this point. But with me today are a couple of good people. I got Catriona, I got Dan. We're talking about Bullet Train and other stuff. And if you're here, you've certainly found the channel. And let's just say you should like and subscribe before we even get into things. How are you people? Dan?
Us?
Oh.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
people.
no, we're good. We're good.
The audience can't talk.
Sorry.
Just well, you can. You can comment, but
Yeah, they could.
they could if they wanted to. But I wouldn't be able to see it just now. Dan, how are you? Let's start with you before we get to the audience.
Yeah, no, I've been doing well. Was a bit sick this week, so still trying to recover from that, you know. So I keep it really cold in my room where I do all this work because there's a lot of computers, and as you might know, they need to stay cool to function. But then
Yeah.
it's like oppressively hot outside, so kind of going back and forth between like
It's hot there too?
Yeah, it's like 90 plus degrees and it's super humid. So like you walk outside and it feels like you can't breathe for a little bit because of like how dense the air is. So
Wow.
just the because and you know like I'm wearing this, which I would not like I would need to take that off in like 30 seconds walking outside out the door. So kind of going between the gradients, and even when I walk outside my office space, like most of the rest of the house is like probably 5-10 degrees warmer, simply because like I said, all of this stuff needs to stay cool. So what ends up happening is I think the temperature difference that my body has to constantly like deal with is probably causing me this sinus infection that really
Right.
took me out of action.
Is
for
that
a
what
while
does
earlier.
that? Temperature differences
Yeah.
cause? Wow.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No,
Of
I've
course.
just suffered with sinus issues my entire life and figured that's just me. That's good. Any sinus issues on your end, Catriona? Or you doing okay?
You know, I've suffered from sinus infections on and off my whole life, so
Yeah. But I thought it was just me.
But today I'm good. No, I think it's a
Temperature
trend,
differences.
you know. Temperature differences, yeah. It's actually I've noticed it's a little humid here in LA the past week or so, which
Yeah.
is not usually. It's usually just very dry.
We had some unseasonable rain and some clouds and some very pretty
I missed the
sunsets.
rain. I never saw the rain.
I was there for it. I saw it. I can attest that it happened. It rained in Los Angeles. Well, Dan, I hope you start feeling better.
Yeah.
Catriona, I don't know. Anyway, let's get into what's going on today. How about we get into the rundown? But before we do, please be our friend. Follow us. We're on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcasts. I've run out of fingers on this hand, but pretty much if you find Oh So Curious and you friend us or you comment, you're part of the show. You're part of the family. You're part of the movie. I shouldn't have said it. You're part of the movie fan community. Are you
I'm
gonna
gonna
do
let
it?
that one go. Yeah.
Alrighty.
I'm gonna let
Well,
that
in the
one go.
meantime,
I don't have
how
friends.
about
I got family.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I decided not to
Things
let
that-
that one go. So.
Yeah, I noticed. I noticed you didn't let it go. You lied. You lied to me. Okay. Rundown time? Shall we do a rundown?
Sure.
Let's
yeah.
do a rundown.
Oh my God, it's me. Okay. Okay, guys, it's the rundown. Here are the quick hits. Bullet Train review. What's next for the DCEU? Starting
I should look at Andrew's face.
for All Mankind Ep9. Laal, Singh, Chaddha. I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong. And that's it, everyone. Thank you so much.
That was great.
That's the rundown. That's everything happening on our show. Shall we get started with that first thing we mentioned, those quick hits?
Oh no, we got some time. Let's talk. Open the mic or open it
All
up.
right.
I don't know.
Let's air it out. Let's air
Air
it
it
out.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you guys have summertime sadness yet? We're like heading towards the middle of August.
Oh yeah. I
Is
feel
that
like
a
I did
thing?
not.
What is
Yeah.
that?
When you get sad about it, summertime.
It's that song.
It's
You haven't
that song.
heard
Yeah.
that song?
No, I thought you were inquiring about my seasonal affective disorder, and we were gonna get very deep.
No. Okay. Well, I
summer's
was
pretty
talking
good for
about
that.
yes.
Oh, okay. I'm happy to talk about that. I take plenty of vitamin D. I'm running short. I need to go back to the to CVS and get some. But summertime sadness. No, I'm actually really looking forward to it being fall. And but honestly, fall doesn't really happen in LA till late November. So I got a few more months of summer here.
Yeah, but I have to hear about everybody else around the country complain about it, so it feels like, we're in fall.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear other people whine. I just want to feel like my summer's extended.
Well,
And
I mean,
that's it.
in I'm in New England, so we get like I think in New England more than probably any other part of the country in the U.S. you get the best of every season, like the prototypical like what you'd imagine fall to look like and winter and all those. But even here, it's like of last few years, like fall doesn't really start like it or it may the leaves may start falling off the trees, but it still feels like summer because of how hot it is well into
Yeah.
like October usually, like, and then you're like, oh, now it's fall, and then like by the time you get to December you're like, is it winter yet? Really,
Man,
it
isn't
doesn't really hit
global
until
warming fun?
January.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look at my tree. It's yeah, it's dry.
Catriona,
Um,
what's up with your background?
If you could, yeah, please enlighten us.
Oh, right. So over here wait, what? It's reversed. Okay, sorry. So over here we've got snakes on a plane.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of you don't know about the precursor, which wait, how am I turning? Okay, snakes on a train.
I had no idea
which
that was a thing.
It was, yeah, it did not have Samuel L. Jackson. It was before, many years before. Obviously did so well they decided to bump it up to the sky. And
Wait,
I
what?
decided.
No,
What's the occasion?
Yeah,
I
I'm
d-
getting into that. Oh, go ahead.
Get to it.
I'm sorry,
don't
I have a
understand.
question.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Is
Go,
that
go for it, Dan.
because that looks like that's a poster with something that's not in English. Is that what language is that
Oh,
above
that's
the
probably
title?
it's either Russian or wait. No, I think that's Greek.
It looks like
It's
it might be
Greek.
Russian.
I think it's wait. I'm pretty sure those are Greek. Ah, you know what? You're probably right. It's probably
What's
Russian.
the story here?
Okay, anyway, yeah, I grabbed the wrong poster. I didn't know it was in whatever language that is. So it's in honor of we'll be getting into it later. Bullet Train.
Oh.
I don't want to give too much away, so if you want to find out more, stay tuned. till
So
when I
wait,
actually
so that
talk
was a
about it.
real Hollywood movie, Snakes on a Train, and then
Well, I don't know if it was Hollywood. I mean,
It's a movie.
I was because
It's
that was like
filmed.
I don't remember that
It's a
being a
movie.
thing.
It's a movie. I never saw it. My mom saw it and complained about it to me many years ago. And then I always thought about it. And when I saw Bullet Train, as we will get further into it, I'll tell you why I thought of this.
That's actually
So-
a pretty good tease because I'm
Yeah.
I'm absolutely confused. I'll keep watching. I'll be here. All right, yeah. How about now? You think now's a good time to get into what the episode's going to be all about, or what happened this week, before we do?
Oh
the
no,
episode?
you again.
You got more things you want to talk about?
Comment of the week. You're trying to get away
Oh.
from
Oh,
the.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
know.
'cause-
I'm just still a little sore from somebody cyberbullying me last week.
Yeah, but the blue shirt. Yeah.
This
It was
one's actually
blue.
blue.
That one was blue. I looked again.
No, I own the shirt. I wore the shirt.
It does look
It's
blue.
a gray shirt.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's 2 against 1. Actually,
Uh,
3.
I
3
I
against
think
1.
I think I was in the reality
banana.
with the.
It
That
might
was
have been
the
the lighting,
commentary.
like maybe your light temperature was set to be a lot cooler than, and then it
That
should
does
be,
not
and it
change
was-
the color of the shirt.
Okay,
I-
what the color looked like to me is how your collar looks now. That's how it, like the inside
Right,
of that.
This one? This
it
is
looks
gray.
like the same.
Yeah,
Oh my god, that's blue.
No.
That's
that is
I'm s-
blue, right?
Hmm. This
Would you
this
be
is
willing to
blue,
take-
This is gray.
a colorblind test.
Me?
For the show. Yes.
What if I'm colorblind? Who cares? It's not an issue.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I just want everybody to know that it's a blue
The shirt is gray. Can we drop it? Can we drop it and get to the comment of the week? Can we drop the color of the shirt?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. All right. Comment of the week. Conda, I have to ask why people like Andrew are so attached to the character being killed off because of real life events. This has never happened with other characters. Also, ask yourself if Chadwick would want the character killed off after working so hard to bring it to life and not give another actor the opportunity to step in. I doubt he was that selfish. Hashtag recast T'Challa. Okay. People like Andrew. I don't know. Listen, I have no particular attachment to Chadwick Boseman. I'm more in... My attachment is to continuity. And I think continuity errors can ruin a movie. If it's writing, if it's, plot holes, character holes. Not character holes, but
I don't think that's a thing.
Well, kind of. It's like a character.
I'm sure there's a lot of characters
in
Pulp Fiction who had holes, but
yeah,
continue.
Yeah, that's not the best phrasing. But what I mean is when the continuity is lost, and suddenly it's unbelievable. It takes you out of a movie, and yeah, your fair point. Like, there's no reason they couldn't recast him. Again, I'm not particularly attached to it. If they, again, put the helmet on somebody, it really could be anybody. But yeah, I can't say I have too much of a dog in this fight. I don't care that much.
Well, then why'd you say it? Why'd you say it?
Why did I say it? Because I think you got to show a certain amount of reverence to somebody who's died, which they've done. They've decided they're going to show his funeral in the movie. Better to not get another actor and CG his face onto him, deep fake it, because then it's it's like a Pet Cemetery thing, or using somebody's corpse as a puppet. It's not. Let it lie. Let it rest.
But if Chadwick Boseman had said, I mean, we can't prove it, right? Because you said it was his brother who said it. If he said his one of his final requests was if anything happened to him, he wanted him to be recast. Shouldn't the main focus be to honor whatever Chadwick Boseman said, since he's the Black Panther? So
no, it's not his property. It's Marvel's property, and they get to decide what to do with it. I think they're being tasteful about it. And also, like I said, I think you could write in a new character, and that was my solution to this last week, when we said, what if it's somebody within the tribe who looked up to him who takes on the Black Panther mantle? That would be nice. That would be a nice way to do it.
But look at how... I mean, we're going to get into this more, but the whole thing around these side Batman characters that they're trying to make shows of and stuff like that. And they obviously do not do well because people just want to see Batman. You don't really want to see a replacement. You want to see the original thing. And I think if everybody's on the same page with that, it's going to be really hard.
But you know what is the MCU being just in and of itself, because it is this meta continuity thing where every movie has to be consistent for 30 movies. How many movies has it been? Too many. Wakanda Forever
will be the 30th movie.
So. Okay, right? So 30 movies of basically consistency, with the exception of the one guy in Iron Man who was recast.
Terrence Howard, that's the name. Yeah.
We haven't seen anybody else be recast here, because they're trying to make this the mission of the MCU is continuity. So no, you shouldn't.
I mean, there isn't really technically continuity in the universe itself. They constantly rewrite, they'll bring in a new sort of like theory into the universe so that they can, if they tried to close a story for something and then they're like, oh, you know what, we kind of want to reopen that back up, even though we said, oh, this will never happen again, and then they find a way to do it. So I mean, there's not really like full continuity in the Marvel universe.
But again, we mentioned the other cheap trick they could pull is like getting another one from an alternate universe, because they've established that the multiverse is a thing. But again, they're trying to make it consistent with the comics. Is he really, maybe I'll get flagged for this, is he really that important of a character where like he's got to be there for every fight?
I mean,
I think it's just what he stood for. Oh, go ahead.
Here's my understanding of like the whole thing. Essentially, well, here's the thing. Part of where we are now is the movie's done. Like, they shot this movie.
Yeah.
And the movie, at least the trailer indicates, and I mean, I'd be surprised if this isn't the case, given what the director and Kevin Feige have said. Ryan Coogler said it as well. They are not recasting him. There was a funeral scene in the movie, so at this point, I'm like, the whole recast T'Challa movement,
it's moot.
Sort of. I mean, I know the movement's been around for a few years, and then we shot the movie, but at this point, what are you gonna do? Like, stop the movie from coming out and then have them reshoot the whole thing? It's now from
at this point, don't do it. At this point, forget it.
But now as far as the point of how important the character was, you know how we talked about we missed like a presence of like Iron Man or Captain America in Phase 4 of the MCU. We don't have these like characters who really ground you in this world. Like, like the MCU is a lot of different things, but for a lot of people it became like soul food. Like, you want to feel at home, you go watch an MCU movie, and if you want to do that, like Iron Man or Captain America, anything involving those two characters was probably like the most at home you would feel watching the MCU, because you're like, that's the MCU that I signed up for, and this is what I connect to, and the MCU that I fell in love with. I think T'Challa was meant to be sort of that character who was going to take over in that kind of a role moving forward, now that those two, Captain America and Iron Man are gone. And without him, I think even more so than it would have even more so than it would have perhaps even with T'Challa around. I think now it feels even more rudderless, because
I
don't
didn't
have
get that
moral
impression.
center.
I didn't get that impression, because I know they've cast the new Captain America. I thought having that lineage was going to be the new like Tony Stark type character, and I didn't get the impression from Black Panther the movie that he was that character. Maybe I've missed him in the other.
Well, I think
Avengers
there were talks. There were talks about how they were planning on, they already had set up like who was going to no longer be in Phase 4, who they were cutting out and everything, because they wanted this new generation to take over, and Black Panther was like top of the list. It was supposed to be.
Because so I've heard the argument that he's the king of Wakanda. Like, can he really be also that person who's like a Tony Starkian?
No, he couldn't be
figure.
Tony Stark.
Because he's got so much going on already. He's got to be the king of Wakanda. He's also the Black Panther. And then on top of that, is he also going to be assembling the next Avengers team? Is he really going to be? I mean, like, that's a
lot to deal with.
That's a lot to put on one guy.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was of the opinion that the Avengers, like the way they've treated that team, like when you go to the first Avengers movie, S.H.I.E.L.D. put together that, like, it was the Avengers Initiative. And then, like, by the time you get to the Age of Ultron, it's more of like this private venture that Tony Stark's company is leading. Like, they're all private contractors working for Tony Stark, in a manner of speaking. And then by the time we got to like the previous Infinity War and Endgame, Avengers were like, they sort of had broken up in Civil War, and then they're coming back together, and we had the whole Sokovia Accords thing. But Avengers as like an organization wasn't really a thing anymore. It wasn't really a S.H.I.E.L.D. run thing. It wasn't really a Tony Stark like funded and financed thing. It was just like a bunch of these guys who wanted to kind of come together to save the world, in a manner of speaking. So
it's like a rock band where like so many of the original members have died that they keep replacing them, and now is like there's one original member and it's the bassist.
You just reminded me of that joke from Spider-Man No Way Home,
Which one?
where they're like, like, I've never worked with a team before. And then Tom Holland's like, oh, well, I have. I've been with the Avengers. And then Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker's like, oh, that's great for you. And then he's like, is that a band? And then it's like,
Yeah.
it's like, what? I don't know. I'm sorry.
No, but I mean, it's the whole. That's the point of this discussion. I would say is like the continuity being the key factor of the MCU. Like these movies are all related is the brand, and everything is consistent and it supposedly makes sense. For them to have any major error like this in continuity is, it's another chink in the armor.
Yeah. No, I think it's fair, and I'll be honest with you, like we went through it. I don't know, it's been a week or 2 weeks now. We watched the trailer for Wakanda Forever. We reacted to it. We talked about the fact that it looks like you can pause almost any shot in that trailer, and it could be like a piece of art that you can kind of hang up.
Beautiful
So
trailer.
it looks
yeah.
beautiful. I mean, and to that end, I'm like, this movie has a potential to easily be the best movie of the phase 4 for the MCU, because
Sure.
it's probably the best director out of the bunch that have directed anything in that phase, in my opinion. But also, like, you look at what they did with the first movie. I mean, I've been literally just itching to watch I've had this like itch to watch the first Black Panther because I love the soundtrack. It's so vibrant and so wonderful. I would love to just watch. And then if you take that, what they were able to accomplish with that movie, and now you're like, okay, let's go for round 2, and you add like the stakes of what this movie has, the weight that this movie has to carry, both from real life events and the events of the MCU. It's got a lot to do, but I think that it's in very capable hands. So I trust these guys to do the character right, like whatever
Yeah.
the fate of
I think they
T'Challa
will.
ends up being.
You do make a good point, because like I suppose not replacing him like forces them to actually make a quality movie, as opposed to just we have the character and that's it. So just enjoy it for that. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you have a really good point. I didn't think about it that way.
I will also say, like, they're sort of taking a page out of the Star Wars Avatar book, which is like, this isn't so much about Black Panther. This is about the mythology and the narrative of Wakanda. And that was part of what was appealing about the Black Panther movies. Like, we have this whole concept, this whole world that exists in yours, you just can't see it. And now they're going to delve deeper into the culture. And those were some of the world building of it was what was, I think, the most appealing part of Black Panther. And that's really why this is a sequel. It's not called Black Panther Forever. It's called Wakanda Forever. Let's see what that's all about.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. I mean, I'm excited for this movie. I mean, it's coming out in November, but honestly, if I could just, skip forward in time, maybe jump in a faster than light or close to speed of light spaceship and then just zoom through the next 3 months and just, get to this movie tomorrow. I would love to do that. I'm excited.
I'm going to take summer off and enjoy it. But when I get there, yeah, I'll be excited to see it.
All right. I'm ready to do quick hits. And
Well, let's do quick hits then.
Okay.
Where did I go?
Oh, there you go.
Sorry. That was my
Sorry.
evil twin. I'm back from the other dimension. Let's do quick hits.
All right. We're doing this a little differently this time around. We're doing this live, so.
Live.
Oh,
We'll
boy.
do it live.
All right. So I've been handed a piece of paper with the quick hits here. Let's take a look. All right, time for some quick hits. Here's what went down this week.
Do you want me to do the music?
Please wait for a second here. Let me cue this up.
Okay.
Uh-oh. That does not look right.
Is that the actual movie?
My face is covered. I don't like this. Gotta
Move.
fix this.
Yeah, just slide over a little to your. Oh.
No, it was supposed to do that. It's so weird. Oh, there we go. The music is fun though. I am enjoying the film music. Let's try this again. Wow. Okay. This is a great experiment. I love trying this. Like this is live television. This is what you do. All right. Let's try this again. All right. Time for some quick hits. Here's what went down this week. And stand by for what went down this week. Boom. Look at that. First up, the CW made it official this week. The Flash will end its run on the network in 2023 with a 9-episode final season. Are you ready to say goodbye to the fastest man alive on TV? I don't know. It's to me, I've been off the show for a while, but you know, they had a good run. So, next, Lucasfilm, they dropped a fantastic new trailer this week, and I saw it. It is fantastic for its upcoming Disney Plus Star Wars series, Andor. Named after Cassius Andor, who you might have seen in Rogue One. You can see him right there on the screen, Diego Luna. Cinematic and epic AF. I don't know what AF stands for. The trailer revealed that the show will debut on September 21st, which is a change. I think it was supposed to be August 31st before, so they moved it back by 3 weeks. You know why? Because they're giving you a 3-episode premiere. Yeah, I'm not gonna say the word. This is a family show. Moving on. So, more Disney Plus news. Marvel Studios dropped news this week. See how I did the news twice. She-Hulk will air on Thursdays, starting on August 18th. That's right. This would make it the first premium series on Disney Plus, by the way, which is not going to be airing on Wednesdays. I'm guessing they're doing this so that, Andor comes out on Wednesdays, She-Hulk comes out on Thursdays. They don't want to. They want to have their cake and eat it too. I can understand that. Are you excited for the show though? Let us know in the comments below. We would love to, hear if you're excited for She-Hulk. I honestly feel like she might get overshadowed in her show by, I don't know, Wong, Hulk. There's what's the Abomination? Do you have Daredevil in there? I'm sure they're gonna bring probably Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and the whole gang of Defenders in there too. We'll see. Anyway, big DC news now. This is a little, something that kind of broke the internet for a little bit. Changes coming to the world of the DC films. Warner Brothers Discovery announced this week that they have shelved or canceled Batgirl. This movie was in its post-production phase. It was all shot and everything, and basically they said, it ain't good enough. We're not doing this. Shelved. And they're gonna write it off. They're gonna lose like $70-80 million. But there's a tax write-off. The official terminology they used was a purchase accounting maneuver because they recently bought the company. Discovery bought it, and my camera just died, which is fantastic. So we're gonna do this live here. Swap out hot swap batteries.
Want me to take over?
Yeah. Oh, you do? Would you like to?
Yeah, but you got to do
you know
the
what the quick hits are? Okay.
We'll figure it out.
All right. Let's do this then. This has been a fantastic experiment.
What a strange turn of events. We were all looking forward to seeing Michael Keaton resurrect the old Batman from the 90s. He's not going to be doing that. This has been sort of part of the redirection of DC to, that new 10-year plan to show us what DC is going to be all about. They're going to redirect from this. We're not going to see this movie. It will be locked away in a vault, but something tells me years from now somebody will release it, and we will probably review it. Remember this. Bookmark this.
Okay, well, thank you for that cameo there, Andrew. Now
sure.
we have done away with Andrew here, just like Bullet Train and Channing Tatum. Oops. Anyway, DC films moving forward will be theatrical, not streaming, according to Warner Brothers Discovery. So what do you think about the news? Did you want to see Batgirl? Are you excited to see where Warner Brothers takes this thing next? Apparently the movie was so bad they decided to take a tax write-off on it. not a very good look, but for the movie, that is, if indeed it was that bad. Anyway, let's move on here. So, shortly after the Batgirl news, we found out that the release date, for the official release date that is, for the sequel of 2019's Joker, which, as you can see on the screen there, it will be called Folie à Deux. It's a madness for two, or madness of two. I don't know. It's French. It will feature Joaquin Phoenix. He's returning in the titular role as Joker, if you didn't know. Lady Gaga, though, she'll be joining Phoenix as. They haven't really made it official, but it's pretty sure she's going to be playing Harley Quinn. So, previously you've only seen Margot Robbie play her in live action. Kaylee Cuoco voices her in the animated Harley Quinn show on HBO Max. But now we're going to see Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga in a musical, fun, filled movie, Joker, Folie à Deux. I don't know how dark it's going to be. We'll see. Are you excited? I mean, Batgirl gets canceled, but Lady Gaga's in, and Joker, Folie à Deux, 2024, October 4th. It's coming up. Let us know in the comments below what you think about this movie. It's probably going to be the same year that the Batman 2 comes out, so you get to go see the Batman 2 and Joker, Folie à Deux. It's not bad. Anyway, that's it. That's the quick hits, as they may say. Get rid of that stuff there. But before I leave you, remember to join us for live episodes of Oh So Curious every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Unless we do it at a different time. We sometimes change our minds, but generally speaking, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. We talk movies, TV, streaming, music, and existential philosophies of life. So join us in the fun. If you think it's fun. We look forward to having you be a part of our movie fan community. That's right. This is the right way to do that. It's in the script.
Shots fired.
All right. That's right. Shots have been fired. So with that, let's move on back to the rest of the show. We got some exciting news here. I'm hearing that two of our panelists went to see this new movie called Bullet Train, and they'd like to let us know what they thought about it. So let's take a look.
Bullet Train!
Oh, God.
We went to go see Bullet Train, and basically, I liked it. I liked this movie. Number one reason why I like this movie, Brad Pitt has sort of ascended to a level of celebrity and actor stardom where he can just walk into this movie and be like, no, I'm not going to take it too seriously. And I like the guy. I found him relatable and likable, which is tough to do for a big movie star, I think. It was fun. It was action-packed. It was funny. It was shot beautifully, and there were a couple scenes there where I was like, how are they even doing this? So it was an enjoyable experience for me, I gotta say, overall. What about you? You were sitting next to me. What'd you think?
Well, first, let me just say, I think the worst part about this movie is that it keeps making you say Bullet Train.
Okay, that's not how I sound.
It isn't to me. Oh, well, now I can talk about my picture here.
Bullet Train!
Shut up. Okay. It's this side. Okay, wait. Sorry,
no,
wait.
It's not.
Okay, here.
Get it together.
Snakes on a train. It's backwards. Snakes on a train. So why do I have this poster?
Please.
Because they're on a train and there's a snake on the train. That's it. That's the only reason. Yes, sorry for the spoilers. It's an important part of the movie, and I was considering another spoiler. I was considering also doing Thomas the Tank Engine, but then I thought, why not go a little more subtle and throw in something that nobody would really recognize. But yeah, this movie, I had fun. It reminded me of what's Snatch by what's his name? Guy Ritchie, yes, thank you. Great movie. It was a combination of that. Andrew, we both said that we kind of felt moments where it was similar to The Agreement, but obviously better, right?
Well, okay, so there's a couple things. I think maybe society's a little hungry for secret agent codename action stuff, and there's a lot of that going on here. We don't really know anybody's name in this movie, which is cool. Everybody's got a code name. it opens itself up to being a series better than The Gray Man, I think. There was action, but it wasn't mindless or pointless action. Every shot made sense, and it wasn't it wasn't self-serious at all.
Right.
It never tried to take itself too seriously at any point.
Better
And
writing. Yeah.
much better writing, better acting, I would say. Certainly better direction, and the style. I mean, this movie had style. The costumes, the sets, the lighting. Like I said before, I originally thought this was like a Street Fighter adaptation when I saw the trailer, and it carries that aesthetic through the whole thing. It's exciting, and they're for all the good things I have to say about it, the critics are not being terribly kind to this movie on Rotten Tomatoes. And I think it's sitting around 56% with the green rotten splat, which is, I think it's harsh.
Yeah, it's just kind of weird because I feel like critics were so much kinder to The Gray Man, and I don't really see. Do you think it's because it was like they were all like, "Oh, it was good for a Netflix film," and whereas this was just automatically, meant for the theaters, and they're like, "Yeah, for a theater movie."
I don't know. I mean, the thing is, this is a movie. I'm not generally one to go see action movies just for the sake of seeing action movies. Because I knew I was going to review it for this, I thought, I'm going to just see what it's all about. But I enjoyed it. And it was more cinematic than The Gray Man. It was definitely. Every shot was cool. There's some legitimately cool action in here. And it's not action for action's sake.
Right. And then, you could just tell there were so many scenes where they just really had fun with it, but it still was important. Well, there was one that wasn't. The water bottle, that whole segment, but that was just fun to have.
I like that. No,
yeah,
I mean,
that was great.
The movie's constantly poking fun at itself, which is great. The cameos in this are unbelievable. I won't spoil those, but that's part of the appeal of this. And they even did it better than Marvel has been handling their cameos, because Marvel, it's guess who's playing this character, For this, it's he's in the movie too. And it doesn't have to be for very long, but it's just like these charming little things that make a difference. And I could see them turning this into other movies where they do that on another train or another plane. We'll see. With
more snakes.
More snakes for sure.
I will say, sorry, I was just gonna say that the negatives of this movie was spoilers, specifically the Thomas the Tank Engine joke. We've talked about this.
Yeah, this could have been.
Ahead.
There's a running gag where they reference Thomas the Tank Engine. It's not funny the first time. It becomes this thing that rears its head 20, 30 other times in the movie, and it doesn't need to be there at all. They could have sold it better. They could have made the character bringing it up a lot dumber. That might have helped me enjoy it.
I like the concept behind having it because there was a point to it by the end. It was an important piece of the story. But I think the way the jokes were handled by the characters involved in it kind of got
most of the jokes I would say landed. That one, they really went all in on it, and maybe that's the joke. That's kind of funny. That they just committed to it. Fine. Okay. But it wasn't my favorite part. Does it get in the way of the enjoyability of the movie? I wouldn't say so. I think it's a good movie.
I think it added to it in its own way. Like, I like that it was there. There's just things that I think it could have gone in a different direction. By the way, Dan's saying in the chat, bullet plane answers to everything in life, or bullet boat for future films.
They could do this anywhere. They could literally do this anywhere. I don't know. That is the question. And maybe this is how you guys will get in on the conversation today. How do you turn this into a franchise? Because it takes place on a bullet train. What is this? Does it become like next title, a bullet train saga? How would you name this franchise if it were to go on for many more movies.
Disney's Bullet cruise. A cruise, a Disney cruise, and it's this. I think that would be great. That would be, imagine like, but it's a knockoff of Disney characters. So you have like character costumes, because they kind of did that a little bit in Bullet Train. They had like that weird Japanese cartoon character that kept reoccurring.
Yeah.
They could totally do that if they had like a themed cruise liner kind of thing.
Sure.
Might be interesting.
I mean, but there's nothing tying it other than maybe Brad Pitt coming back. And I would much rather watch this funny Brad Pitt character than this serious Ryan Gosling character.
Yeah. No, that. I mean, I would think Brad Pitt would come back.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, everybody clearly enjoyed being on this movie.
Right.
You know, this is a movie where you can feel the fun of the production, and that's part of it. Like I said, it brought me back to watching the outtakes in Rush Hour after the credits. I like that kind of stuff. I was surprised there wasn't a gag reel at the end of this. It's been a while since I've seen a really good gag reel for a movie, and this would have done it. But I think that's pretty much what we have to say about this. Good movie. I enjoyed it. Go see it. In the meantime, follow us. Be our friend. Be our... Don't say it, Andrew. Don't say that. Be our brothers and sisters. And enjoy content and commentary with us. Thank you for watching. Now, we're going to move on to a tribute to the legendary Nichelle Nichols. Play us out.
In 1966, the world received a transmission from the future. The image of civilized life forms of every creed, color, and mindset respectfully cooperating aboard a starship on a mission to explore new worlds together. Among the highly advanced and compassionate humans on the set of Star Trek was an actress who had boldly gone where no woman of color had gone before. Next to the captain of the Starship Enterprise stood a beautiful and elegant bridge officer, the undeniably intelligent and strong Lieutenant Uhura, made real by Nichelle Nichols. As Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. put it, Nichols' portrayal of Uhura accomplished something new in the fight for civil rights. For the first time on television, he said, we will be seen as we should be seen every day, as intelligent, quality, beautiful people who can sing, dance, and go to space. And if she wanted to, she could have resigned and gone on to sing and dance on Broadway. She almost did. But it was this observation that inspired her to stay on the historic show, and her decision to do so that inspired another generation of young black women to be great actresses and astronauts. To go beyond breaking boundaries of racial perception and prejudice and merely showing the world a decorated space program lieutenant, as well as a kiss that mesmerized a generation. She volunteered to develop a program to recruit women and minorities to NASA, served on the board of governors of the National Space Institute, and even flew aboard high-altitude NASA aircraft. Of course, she continued acting and singing on stage and in countless other shows, resurrecting Uhura in the many subsequent Star Trek movies and series that followed the original, and showing up in the inspiration for characters in the next generations. But it is the implicit message received in her performance that stays with us. The image of progress before our eyes that whispers in every appearance, we'll get there. If, in the next centuries, there is a beautiful and steadfast lieutenant aboard a spaceship, a real-world Uhura, we will all know she could not have existed without the efforts of the one who existed so vividly in our imaginations.
All right. So let's talk about everything that's going on in the world of the DCEU, Warner Brothers Discovery. It seems like there's lots of change happening. So the highlight there, of course, we're going to discuss in detail is they want to put together a 10-year plan for DC films, similar to what Marvel has been doing for a while now with Kevin Feige. And Alan Horn used to be there as the head of the Disney motion picture division. Before that, he was at Warner Brothers. Now he's back at Warner Brothers in more of a consultant role. So this week, really what kicked all of this off was a quarter two earnings call from Warner Brothers Discovery. And it was their first call since the merger where they were able to report like real numbers and everything under this new leadership. So the Discovery leadership took over the company, Warner Brothers, and now they're Warner Brothers Discovery. So you have a new CEO in David Zaslav, who, by the way, looks like a baller dude when he's facing the camera. Clearly knows how to pose.
I'd work for that guy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, who wouldn't? Anyway, so the big piece of news that came out before all of that, even like, the call, was Batgirl was shelved by Warner Brothers Discovery.
Yeah.
They said, and actually here's the thing. The news leaked on the New York Post early in the week because it was before Warner Brothers made any official announcement. So as we found out later on that the directors of the movie, there's two directors. One of them, they're both from Moroccan. They live in or Belgium, I think, and they were at one of the two of them were at one of their weddings. So one of them was getting married, and everybody's there, and they found out at that wedding. This New York Post article says that their movie has been shelved by the studio. So, I mean, that's
Yikes.
not a good feeling to have, obviously. But the reports were saying that the reason for the cancellation of this movie, which was meant to be going straight to HBO Max, is because it was supposedly not very good. Like, it looked like cheap. It wasn't very well produced. And basically, David Zaslav would then later on in the quarter two earnings call say that they want DC movies to be top notch, first class citizens in the world of comic book movies. They don't want to play second fiddle to Marvel anymore. They have like the most
Good.
iconic, some will say even more iconic characters than the DC franchise does. Sorry, the
I would
Marvel
argue they do, actually.
franchise does. Like DC's got like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, right? Like, you can buy shirts with those logos, and like if you never watch any of the movies with those characters, you would know that's a Superman symbol, that's a Batman symbol.
Yep.
So the whole point of this is Warner Brothers they canceled this movie, and they said that officially the reason was they called it I have it right here, a purchasing accounting maneuver, which is basically saying they're going to get a tax write-off on this. They're going to take a tax write-off, and so they will lose money, but they won't lose as much. And they had felt that there would have been a much bigger loss for them financially putting it up into HBO Max and releasing it, and it would do a lot of damage to the brand of DC. Because they didn't think it was good enough. So they did that. They also canceled Scoob, the sequel to the Scoob that came out a couple of years ago on HBO Max. It would have been a $40
Also
million
probably
movie.
a good move.
Yeah, and then Batgirl was already going over budget. It was originally meant to be 70 million. It had gone up to 90 million, and it may have needed even more money still. It was in post-production. So I wanna ask you guys this. The gist of all this is Batgirl is gone. They've said that they like what they have on the schedule now, which includes Black Adam, Shazam 2, Aquaman 2, The Flash, coming out next year, which will see Michael Keaton return as his Tim Burton versus Batman. Ben Affleck's Batman is going to be there too. There's a whole lot of cameos in that movie. They like those movies, but they're saying moving forward, DC is going to be where it deserves to be, and that's at the top. And we're gonna we're gonna take movies theatrical. We're not gonna drop $80-90 million in a movie that's not gonna make us anything back by sending it straight to streaming. And
Right.
they now want to put in a 10-year plan. So all of that news that just dropped on the world, people have a lot of different kinds of feelings. Some people are mad. They want to now see Batgirl. I mean, I feel like that's a little like, okay, maybe you want to see it because you want to know just how bad it is. But then there's some people out there who are saying this is great because now DC's finally getting on the right track. So I want to ask you, Andrew, first. What do you think about all this news, and where do you think everything is headed from here?
Well, like I've said a million times, I think if DC is just interested in competing with Marvel, and we're going to end up with, the Pepsi Coke debate on DC Marvel, and it's just two of the exact same things with different characters, I'm not interested. I think this is a really good move for them to say, let's establish a brand for the DC comics as a property, as a movie property, and let's do something different. In all honesty, I like the idea of bringing back Michael Keaton as Batman, but I don't know how they were going to do it. But if they were going to reintroduce sort of a campy 1960s Adam West type Batman where the costumes are playful and the world isn't so gritty and serious, I think we could use some more playful, fun, light superhero movies. And Shazam, interestingly, they didn't cancel that, but Shazam gave us that originally. And there is some levity and a sense of humor and bright colors and sort of this let's all play pretend feeling to Shazam. I would love to see them lean into that. I would love to see them lean away from politics and just keep us within the realm of these are comic book heroes. They stand for virtues that we admire them for. Because if Top Gun showed us anything, if you're just showing people those good old-fashioned morals, they enjoy the movie. And they can relate to the characters, and they can look up to the characters.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good point. It's Shazam 2 looks very similar to the first Shazam. It's got the colors and it's got the levity to it, and so it looks like at least with some movies they're gonna go in that direction. And first Aquaman had plenty of levity to it as well, and really bright colors, and it was a very colorful movie. So I'll ask you the same question, Catriona. What do you think about all this news? You see an actress like Leslie Grace, who was on the up and up. She gets cast in this role of Batgirl, and the movie is basically done. Like, they're in post-production, and now it gets canceled. The directors hear about it at one of their weddings, and now DC wants to do a 10-year plan, and they're saying we're not going to streaming, we're going straight to theatrical with everything. We're going to treat our movies on the same level and get them to be on parity with Marvel. What do you think about all of that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Andrew. I think it's a good move. I think, especially after how Batwoman did, that was terrible. I feel like this Batgirl would probably be going in the same direction. And I think deciding now to, make these big decisions to not follow exactly in Marvel's footsteps of having all of these side things going on and just honing in on like their main characters to properly develop them. I think that's just going to be way better. I've always loved DC more than Marvel, and sadly, I haven't even watched all of the DC movies because I'm just not a big fan of how they've been handling it.
I'm actually in the same camp. Yeah.
Yeah, I love. I mean, they do have the better characters. I know all of them. I like their stories. I think they're more interesting. Not all of them. But yeah.
Well, they also canceled the Wonder Twins movie that was in early development and just cast the leads. They were like, Wonder Twins? Who the hell greenlit this? This happened weeks ago, but that's not happening.
But that's not DC, is it?
No, it is. Those characters, I believe they were initially introduced in like the Justice League Unlimited show.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
It's just but I think the idea of giving a Wonder Twins a movie while you haven't given Superman his own movie in almost a decade.
Well,
like,
I think it's gonna build back trust with all the fans because it's gonna show that they're not trying to milk everybody for money and everything. They're gonna try to put quality into their work.
Yeah. I would love to see a new Superman movie that sort of harkens back to the Christopher Reeve Superman, who was just an incredibly decent man in his actions. He wasn't particularly theatrical. He wasn't really internal. He was actually kind of wooden, which might be an improvement. The scene that I always think about from the early Superman movies, he's like saving a cat from the tree, and I think that's what's happening, and he's flying, and somebody sees him out of their apartment window, and he just sort of goes, "Hi," and then he continues. I love that kind of stuff, but they could make him somebody that people aspire to be. And I think that's kind of what's missing from these superhero movies lately is They just sort of seem like everyday people. There's nothing exceptional about them except the fact that they have powers. We could use some role models.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think you're making a great point there about Superman. I personally, I'm a outspoken defender of that Man of Steel movie because I thought it was like that Superman is relatable to the world we live in today versus the Christopher Reeve Superman. I think you need somebody with that charisma, which I think Henry Cavill has all the charisma in the world. If you wanted him to play Christopher Reeve-esque Superman, he could do it. But
Sure.
I think maybe
I think
maybe we need something that's not necessarily exactly Christopher Reeve Superman. It needs to be updated.
Yeah.
And I think they were kind of trying to take the character in that direction anyway. If you watched Zack Snyder Justice League, by the end of it, at least Henry Cavill Superman is smiling and he's anyway, whatever. Let's move on
yeah,
to
would
talk
it be
because you
so
brought up
hard
Superman.
to get a superhero that smiles?
Right? I mean, well, if you see the Shazam trailer, I think it's a lot of fun. I think
Yeah.
Zachary Levi has so much fun with that character. But speaking of, and then of course Black Adam too, which you saw DC League of Super Pets, and they keep teasing that whole showdown. So all
Right.
of that though kind of ties into what I want to talk about next, which is the character of Superman. As I mentioned a short while ago, we haven't seen a solo Superman movie since 2013's Man of Steel. We have seen him since in Batman v Superman in 2016. Then we saw him in 2017's Justice League, and then 2021's Zack Snyder's Justice League. But we haven't really seen him in his own movie. So and he's almost he's been in ensemble cast and stuff. And as you guys mentioned, the character has been very. He's not exactly been the what you think of Superman. You're like the uplifting symbol of the American dream and all that is good about
You're
the world.
supposed to feel inspired by Superman.
Exactly. Now I don't know if what I'm about to mention here means that this is where we're gonna go with the character or not. However, DC apparently now under Warner Bros. Discovery, David Zaslav on this Q2 earnings call, he mentioned that they want to take DC in a direction similar to what we have had Marvel on for a while. So we know that Disney has had great success with the MCU, with Marvel Studios, and then you have Kevin Feige there. They've got this 10-year, they never tell you it's 10 years, but they will tell you maybe like a 2-3 years out, 5 years out, like what they're going to be doing with the MCU. So here's the quote, and I'm going to read through this, so just stick with me. Basically, what we heard from David Zaslav at this call was, and he's talking about Alan Horn, who he brought back to the company recently for the first time in almost a decade. He's back. And then he talked about the 10-year plan that they have in mind. So he said it's very similar to the structure Alan Horn, former Disney CEO Bob Iger, who's now retired, and Kevin Feige put together very effectively at Disney. We think we can build a much stronger, sustainable growth business out of DC, said Zaslav. As part of that, we are going to focus on quality. We're not going to release any film before it's ready. They also said we're not going to release a film to make a quarter, which was a dig at the 2017 Justice League and what Kevin Tsujihara's team did to make the movie and not delay it because, they needed more time to finish that movie clearly. Superman mustache, we know the deal. And then David Zaslav wrapped it up by saying DC is something we can make better. That to me says this guy and his team is committed to making DC on par with Marvel, if not better. Because like you guys said, their IP on many levels is superior to what maybe Marvel has to offer. However, the execution has been so terrible, they come across as second-class citizens in the comic book world, movie world at least. So let me ask you guys this. Superman, now this is something that this quote didn't mention in specific, but David Zaslav also said that Superman is going to be the focus of this 10-year plan. We're going to build this, whether it's the continuation of the DCEU or if they're going to reboot the whole thing, they're going to build it around Superman. And I'm guessing that means probably some Superman movies, or something like that. I don't know if that means Henry Cavill is back. I hope he is. I mean, but
I hope
Dwayne
so.
Johnson constantly teasing. But Catriona, what do you think about the idea of this 10-year plan being built around Henry Cavill, let's say Superman, whether it's Henry Cavill or not? And what do you think about the idea of a 10-year plan in general?
Yeah, Andrew, you said it right. No, I just love Henry Cavill as an actor anyway. I think he's fantastic. Like I said last time, I wasn't a big fan of Man of Steel. Again, I think it was just my expectations. I think maybe if I rewatched it without those expectations, maybe I would like it. I don't know.
I saw
think...
it. I happened to catch it once when it was airing on TV, and I was captivated. So, and also I hadn't seen The Dark Knight, so I wasn't comparing it to that. And it's not bad. You know, it is that sort of Christopher Nolan-esque Superman movie that you want. It just didn't really have the appeal.
Like, I think, yeah, I'll try it again. You know, we'll see. But I like the idea of them fleshing it out more. I think it was so rushed because it was like we had all those years to build up to the first Avengers movie. Meanwhile, we'd only had the one Superman to kick things off, and then immediately we go into
Batman v Superman and then Justice League,
and it was
then they have Wonder Woman
and
before that too.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, I know I just said like it would be smart to not follow in Marvel's footsteps, but I do like the idea of us seeing origin stories of superheroes. I think that's really important to get an idea of
it's
this
been long
actor's
enough.
version.
It's been long enough where we could reset everything. I'd love to recast Wonder Woman. I would love to recast and rethink the Flash. People are enjoying the Jason Momoa Aquaman, but he looks nothing like Aquaman. Just give me regular Aquaman, please.
I don't mind Jason Momoa.
Of course you don't. But it's, you know.
What? He's a good actor, okay? God, jeez.
Sure.
Oh, Dan, you're muted. I'm so sorry.
I keep talking. I do this every week. Anyway, I was like, what are you saying? Because Aquaman, I think Jason Momoa has given that character legitimacy in like the modern comic book world. Because if you try to translate the comic book like accurate Aquaman, he was the butt of jokes for years. And I think even on
but you know what? He never needed to be. He never needed to be.
I know, but here's the other thing too. They made the character much more diverse, and I think it works for the better here because, of course, it makes sense. Aquaman, you know, wouldn't be your average straight white male character, and then there's plenty of those in the DCU anyway. So I like the casting choice. Also, like the man looks the part. I mean. And nowadays, I think
that's literally the point. Is he doesn't look the part. He looks.
Well, no, I think he
like
looks
Aquaman.
the part.
He looks. I know.
I mean, in fact, you know how? Okay, so here's a Marvel comparison. So you know, back in when they cast Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury. So historically, the character of Nick Fury in the comics has been like, you know, this white dude, whereas obviously Samuel Jackson is not that. But since his casting, like a lot of the Marvel comics have changed. Like the look of Nick Fury in the comics to reflect Samuel Jackson's like, you know, silhouette or what do you want to call it. So he's no longer that, you know, character that you used to see in the comics before. So similarly, the DC comics, especially anything that ties into like their live action stuff, they have started to, you know, draw the character of Aquaman more like a Jason Momoa would look versus what you have historically seen in the comics for Aquaman.
Right, and you can see the same thing for even just the costume design of all the other characters. I mean, the original styles of all of them were so kind of silly looking. All of them. Batman, I mean, he looked ridiculous. And then, you know, now it's like, it got cooler, you know?
I don't, you know, but that's sort of what I've been saying is like, I don't need them to be ridiculously cool, you know?
Well, that's your opinion,
I know you
Andrew.
don't.
But everyone else wants it.
Sure.
That's what
But at the very least, have it harken back to the actual design.
You know who else I think wants it to be cool? This guy.
Yeah, that guy.
He wants them to be.
You know what? I stand corrected.
Yes.
That guy.
By the way, what's his name? Alan what? The other guy?
Well, you're looking at David Zaslav. He's the CEO.
Yeah, no, but
Alan Horn. He's
Alan Horn.
Kevin Feige calls him his mentor.
You know what they need to do?
The MCU. Sorry, go ahead.
They need to do a reality show similar to Hell's Kitchen, where he is basically Gordon Ramsay coming in to fix studios, you know, universes.
That's such a good idea. I would love to see that. Can you imagine?
That'd be a great sketch.
I'm imagining this. Is this Hell's Kitchen? Is that the one where the guy goes into bars and restaurants and he's like screaming at them like, "Oh, you think you're doing this right? Well, toss this out. We're changing this up." And then like, I've always heard stories
just yelling
like
and swearing.
Yeah, and like weeks after he leaves, some of those restaurants shut down anyway because they just went back to doing things the way they were doing it
Yeah.
before.
Like,
But
I
you
don't
never
know. That,
see the after stuff. That would be great. Doing it like this, and then they follow his advice. He's like, "What are you doing with Superman or whatever?"
you
And
know,
then
that's something they should. So Kevin Feige, you know what the first episode would be? He would go to Sony Pictures and he'd be like, "What in the hell were you thinking releasing Morbius?" And then he would start there,
yeah,
and then he'd be like, "We're not doing that anymore. Toss that out in the trash. All right, like let's, what are you doing with this Venom franchise? Like let's talk about like
right.
yeah, I would. That's where he should
They
start.
have, yeah, I know it would be great because they have clips where like he goes in their kitchen and he looks through their fridge and he's going, "Oh my God, it's old, it's frozen." If he's like looking through all the archives and he's like, "Oh, these scripts,"
Yeah. That, okay, you know what? We need to make this a thing. This needs to be
I
a
think we
thing.
should.
We need to make
I think
okay.
we totally should.
We should totally make this. Anyway, okay. So we're getting sidetracked. Okay,
a
you
little
guys
bit.
seem to, but the consensus is that this 10-year plan is better than what they're doing now, right? Like, because especially since
Anything's
they
better
sort
than
of
what they've been
sidetracked
doing.
Yeah.
everything post Justice League, been getting seems like better movies overall, but they don't seem to have any like direction. They're just sort of all doing their own thing. So do you think a
Yeah.
10-year plan will kind of focus
Yeah.
like where everything is going?
I would say when you're at the bottom, the only way to go is up. And lucky for them, they they're kind of in a position where they can just kind of experiment and see how it does. I'm sure it'll be fine, better than like you
Yeah.
said, what they have right now. So
You know what David Zaslav says to that? He says that's the idea. That's the idea.
I,
All right.
that's the caption there for sure.
That's the idea.
Look at that guy.
That's like that's I'm sure this is a meme at this point. Anyway, so the last part I wanted to talk about here. So we've talked about the 10-year plan, what DC wants, what Warner Brothers Discovery wants to do with it. We know that they're going to try to build it around Superman. We also know, how they've shelved Batgirl. They're going to move on with Shazam. They have Black Adam coming up next in October. You have Aquaman coming next year, then The Flash later after that. Peacemaker is getting a second season. Then you also have things like, on the other hand, I'm sure you guys have heard of this. Let me put an image up because if you guys saw this earlier in our quick hits, Joker Folie 2 has been announced. Lady Gaga's coming on board with Joaquin Phoenix. The Batman 2 is happening. So those things, I don't know if they're going to tie into this 10-year plan or not. But let's suppose if you are on this team of people that David Zaslav says he's assembling alongside Alan Horn to shepherd this 10-year plan. Now, Alan Horn is probably going to be around for a couple of years. The guy's like in his 80s. He wants to retire. He's retired twice and come back. He retired from Warner Brothers in 2013. Bob Iger brought him back. Then he retired a couple of years ago when Bob Iger retired. And now David Zaslav has brought him back. So you know that Alan Horn's probably going to... Yeah.
If it were me, I would slash everything and I would start at the ground. I would start over completely. I'm not impressed with the new Batman.
Me either.
As long as we're getting rid of movies, as long as we got rid of Batgirl, let's just start over. I'm so ready for that. Just lay new groundwork, lay a solid foundation for characters that we can actually invest in. Rebrand it entirely and have us appreciate this as something that is not trying to compete with Marvel, that is just good superhero movie.
Or even itself, because the Batman just felt like it was trying to compete with the Dark Knight. And it was focused more on getting the vibe right as opposed to
it didn't help that one of the
to do with
producers said they were trying to beat the Dark Knight with the movie.
No, you can't. Just leave it alone. Just leave it alone. And no, they did not. I feel, well, that's the whole discussion.
I think the movie was good. I think it's, to me, honestly, up until today, like, it is still the best comic movie of the year. Like, that's for me. Again, my opinion, I think it's better than anything Marvel's put out this year. You
didn't like Spider-Man? Oh, I guess that was last year, wasn't it?
Well, December. And even if you count it, I still think the Batman was better. I had a very adverse reaction to it the first time I viewed it. Then I watched it back at home later on. Because the first time I watched it, all I had in my mind was, okay, so they want to beat the Dark Knight. Let's see how they did. And then the second time around, there we go. Okay. I think we're back this time. Yeah. All right, we're back. Okay, so the general consensus between you guys is to start over from the beginning.
Not hearing you, Dan.
And you guys can hear me? No?
Is it just me or is there a major delay?
Okay. Technical difficulties. We're back. Okay. So basically the consensus here is that you guys want to start over, wipe the slate clean. Now I say continue with what you've got that's working. So in my opinion, I think Joker.
What's working?
Well, the Batman made like almost 800 million, and the Joker made over $1 billion. So
Batman, no matter who makes Batman, it's gonna make 800 million. It doesn't matter if they do a good job. People love Batman.
fair enough. Okay, fair enough. But the point stands. I think they can definitely continue with for the time being. Because here's the thing: if you want to start over from scratch, well, there's definitely a point to be made for that. I personally, in my opinion, I like some of what they have right now. I'd love to see Henry Cavill back for more projects. So I would love to see if they can right the ship with what's already. Okay, well, look, I'm sure there's people out there who disagree with you, but the point I'm trying to make is I think they should continue with what they have now.
Sure.
If I was doing a 10-year plan, I would literally just go out and say, okay, more Superman movies. Let's do something more with Batman. I mean, they might not want to. That's the thing. If they have the Batman running on the side, do they want Batman and the DCU running at the same time? That's kind of creates brand confusion. So maybe that's a reason for why they should either do one or the other. Who knows?
You know what?
There's a lot of
you know what
different
I would
ways
like?
they can go about this. However,
You know what I would? Yeah.
in my opinion, they should try to like at least salvage some of what they have now, because then they're not starting from ground zero. Because I think then that a lot of these character iterations are still too recent. If you then reboot Superman again, if you reboot like Black Adam, just his first movie is coming out like later this year. The Flash is getting his first solo movie next year. If you then go ahead and then after that just reboot everything, then people are like, wait, I thought that guy was Black Adam, and wait, he was the Flash. I think that will only cause more
That's what I'm
issues.
saying.
So,
That's what I'm saying. Start over. You know.
but if they were to do that, then I think they would have to like wait a few years. Like it's kind of like, you remember people were like they were like, wait, Tobey Maguire's last movie was only a couple of years ago. They just brought Andrew, like people were like weirded out by how quickly they rebooted the Spider-Man franchise. So I think
Yeah.
then that puts them in the position where they have to shut everything down for a few years and then start again, or they go in a
Or
totally
they-
different direction for the starting point of that franchise.
They could focus on their standalones meanwhile.
Yeah. I mean, they
Yeah.
could
Fair
they
enough.
could start out with a brand new Superman and lay that as the foundation. You know what I'd really like to see? Because nobody's really done a good job of this yet. But in the DC universe, rather than the multiverse, they have the Bizarro world. I would love to say, like, we start with
that's
like
true.
an escape from Bizarro world. We see all of these characters in the opposite of what they've been, and that would give you the opportunity to be like, we're going to subvert your expectations. We're going to show you things not making sense, and we're going to escape from there so that we can now show you what the DC universe really should be. It'd be an interesting way in to, say this isn't what we aren't.
Do you mean like the versions where Batman was the one, like Bruce Wayne died and his parents,
That's
his mom went
Flashpoint.
insane?
That's- yeah, that's
That's
Flashpoint.
Flashpoint, which is cool, and they should definitely do a Flashpoint movie with a Superman who's frail and doesn't want to help anybody. I love that character, but the Bizarro world, it's like Bizarro Superman he doesn't understand anything. Like he's slow, he's dumb, he's egotistical, and he's this hulking mass of just like alien confusion. It would be cool to see that and then turn it on its head. Here's what DC actually is.
It would be cool to see it for just to change things up and because we've never really gotten that.
Mm-mm.
Nobody's tried that. Yeah, that'd be cool. Sure.
Okay.
Nice way to
I mean, I'm sure that for everybody you ask who's a fan of this franchise or not a fan, they will all give you different answers. And I think there's many different ways you can go about this. And clearly, I mean, we were just pretending to be the people in charge. We were not the ones in charge. The people
No.
in charge, I'm sure, know what they're
Yes,
doing.
we are.
Because
Well,
I
you
guess
know what?
we can
Our
vote with
opinions are
dollars. Yeah.
opinions are as valid as yours at this point. So tell us what yours is. Comment. Let's see what your thoughts or your plans for the next 10 years of DC would be. Because honestly, we don't know if anybody knows what they're doing over there. We can only hope that they do better. So tell us what your ideas are in the comments. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, right here, wherever you're watching. Just let us know what you think. If it's a good comment, we'll interact with you next week and respond. But in the meantime, thank you for watching. Now, let's talk about this latest episode of For All Mankind, because kind of a lot went down. Okay, Dan, I'm just going to leave this one to you, because it's been... I know we have one episode left. I know we had a crazy time jump, which could not have come at a worse time, because we're left picking up all the pieces, being like, "Wah," and we ended with some pretty shocking twists as well. So take me through it and just explain how we got here and where we've ended up.
Yeah. So basically, this episode picks up, and they did, like you said, there's a 5-month time jump. Like they jump 5 months forward from where we left off the last episode. And here's the thing, I will make this small critique here. I know this show has made a habit of doing time jumps. They jump like 10 years between each season, and earlier in this season they jumped ahead by 2 years at one point. So they do this a lot. However, and I think sometimes their choices that they're making is they like to show you some of the melodrama, but then they like to avoid some of the other melodrama. Like the big melodrama story of this season has been Danny Stevens, his descent into craziness and drug addiction, and basically he's been addicted to opioids because he was trying to I don't know, keep himself sane or like keep himself mellow because he had anger issues. But then at the end of the last episode, you have the situation where the 2 Russians that are left on Mars at this point, because everybody else has died along the way or on Mars, those 2 know that Kelly, Ed Baldwin's daughter, is pregnant with one of who is now a dead cosmonauts, who she was having an affair with. So I was like, okay, by the end of the episode, we sort of are indicate. This is the end of episode 8. They indicate to us that Ed Baldwin is aware of this at this point, and he sort of has to accept it because, well, she's distraught over the loss. All right. Okay. So we're back here again. We had another issue there. Oh. Stand by. There we go. Okay. There we go. We're back. So as I was saying, at the end of episode 8, you're left in a situation where Ed Baldwin is sort of aware that Kelly is pregnant, and he's sort of comforting her because he realizes that the would-be father of the child is now dead. So she's distraught. But then I would have loved to see the scenes where the Russians have to tell well, here's the thing, actually. So Ed Baldwin doesn't know that Kelly is pregnant. Nobody knows Kelly's pregnant at that point. They just know that she's distraught over this guy who's dead, and then I guess you can infer that they were having a fling or affair or whatever. But I would have loved to see the scenes where Ed Baldwin, Danny, everybody, from the NASA crew, from the Helios crew, everybody other than the Russians, the Russians tell them that, oh, Kelly is pregnant.
So
because they're on Mars.
Do you think that this was a warranted time jump, or do you think this was really just, hey, we only have one episode left, let's write that out?
So in part, I think they had to kind of keep things moving because ultimately where the episode ends, I think is justified now with the decisions they made. However,
Right.
I still think maybe they could have started the scene off with a scene or two, or maybe have it be part of the last scene, last episode, and then end at the end of like the Russians telling everybody Kelly's pregnant, and then you can, end the episode there. I just think that was something that was, the writers made a choice. I personally don't agree with it. I would have loved to see, when they reveal to everybody. Because when we start this episode, not only do the crew on Mars know, everybody there, but everybody on Earth knows. Like you see these newsreels talking about like, oh, like all the people are running away with their imaginations because you have this American astronaut who is gonna have the baby of a Russian cosmonaut who's not alive anymore. But like like the world coming together. I mean, all for the better in a manner of speaking. But
Mhm.
I don't know. I disagreed with that decision. Now,
And that's not the only twist we got this episode, right?
no, no, no. There's so much more happening in this episode. So, very quickly, I'll run you through some of the basic storylines. What's happening on Mars. We've
Hmm.
already kind of discussed that. But then on Earth, we've got like, Aleda. She's finally started like trying to confront Margot about giving information to the Russians on the engine design that NASA was using. She's very suspect, but she's got this internal battle going on. Helios is on the verge of bankruptcy, so they're starting to roll back their plans for Mars. And then the big one is President Wilson. She finally comes out as being gay on a press
That's right.
conference where her husband was about to like basically take the fall for everything leading in from the events from before, but she's like, nope, this is time. And then the whole like the reaction from that, you get newsreels again and people are celebrating and people are protesting against that. She's the first
Mhm.
gay American president. It's I think representation in this show is fantastic, and they continue to like face these kind of tough, controversial issues. Call them what you want, like
It's
issues
interesting
that
to put them in the context of the 90s, too.
exactly. I mean, these are all things like that we have people today have trouble talking about in 2022 at the dinner table with like depending like people within families have different opinions on things like this like so representation in the show I think is fantastic. I love how they don't hide from it. They tackle it head on, so that's great. um and then like you said, okay, so this is you're like that if that wasn't already enough, the final scene of the episode, you have the leader of the Russian team and the leader of the NASA team. The two of them are going out on this expedition to find one of the probes from. So apparently, Turkey, People's Republic of Korea, aka North Korea, as well as India and China have landed probes on Mars as well, not people, or at least we're led to believe that. And they need to find a part to like get their MSAM up or Phoenix running, which is the transport that takes them from the surface up to orbit so they can go back home to Earth and hit their launch window. But they're missing a critical component that they find out that is in one of those Korean probes, the North Korean probes. So they're like, we'll just go salvage it from there. It's a robotic mission. Like, then we'll tell the Koreans about it, and whatever they need to bring us back with us for them, we will do that.
But of course,
They walk up to the site. They get there in a rover, and then they walk up, and the Russian cosmonaut, he notices a footprint, and they're
yeah,
like, oh shit, we
yeah.
weren't here before. What the hell? And I was like, ooh, like I literally sat up, I was like, oh, things just got interesting. And then the North Korean astronaut just pops in from the side. He's got a gun pointed at these two people, and that's where the episode ends. And I'm like, that capsule that he came in, it was like crashed on its side. I'm like, the Koreans send this guy on a one-way mission? And he looked panicked. So,
Yeah.
oh my God, I don't know where this is gonna go. There's one episode left,
I
the
don't
season
either, but
finale.
like, just hearing about that,
Yeah.
this was a really sometimes they overblow the season finale of a show, and really it's that ninth episode, that penultimate episode where it's like we're setting everything up, and this is the first domino to fall, and you're left for a week wondering what's going to happen to all the rest of them. In any case, it sounds pretty exciting. I'm going to
Oh
be
yeah.
really interested in hearing what you have to say about it next week. Um, and yeah, I mean, it sounds like a good show. Um, I'll be interested to know where you think they'll pick up. Do you think it'll be another 10 years? Do you think they'll take it to now? I mean, with the time jumps and the way that they've been playing it, it could end up anywhere being anything.
I know that they have a plan for like 7 or 8 seasons, and so they're likely
Wow.
gonna go well into the 21st century
Future.
by the end of it
Yeah.
all. Where'd they go in the last episode? Now the season 2 finale was truly memorable. There was so much stuff that happened. So I can only imagine with everything they've set up, this next episode is going to have a lot to deal with, and is going to leave us in a place, hopefully, of something optimistic, like the last season ended with somebody putting their foot on Mars. And I think, maybe we end the season with either a colony on Mars, or we end it with somebody stepping foot on one of Jupiter's moons. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they're going to skip another decade for next season, but the finale, let's just say I'm excited about it. And where we left off episode 9, there's so much ground to cover. I know this is not a Disney Plus show where they're gonna just have 40 minutes and they won't stick the landing. I know Ronald D. Moore will stick the landing. I just can't wait to see how, because that will be the exciting part.
Well, I'm looking forward to hearing about it. For you people, have you been watching the show? What are your theories about it? Where do you see it going? Tell us in the comments. We'll respond if it's a good comment. You could be the comment of the week. But we want to know what you think. Like, subscribe, follow us all over. Tell your friends and other people about it. And yeah, be part of the conversation. And now, what are we moving on to?
Yeah, we're going to pay tribute to the legendary basketball player and civil rights activist Bill Russell, who passed away the past Sunday, and he 11-time champion. Not only a champion on the court but also off the court. A great man who will be remembered. Not just in the world of sports, but also well beyond that. So, Bill Russell, we put together a nice tribute for him. We would love to take a look at that.
Let's take a look.
Fleeing segregation, only to lose his mother and be rejected by his Oakland junior high basketball team. Nearly cut from his high school team. Ignored by colleges and admonished and corrected by authorities for his unorthodox approach to defense, a child could get the impression this world did not want him. But the character of one who relentlessly studied the game and ultimately reinvented it would gain recognition with encouragement from a coach who could see the genius dormant in the impressionable mind of a young Bill Russell. Coach George Powell's recognition of potential in Russell's intuitive style and defensive jumps took the looming 6'10" center and the game of basketball into the air. For Russell, now known as the Secretary of Defense, the NCAA rulebook would be rewritten. Despite encouragement and a culture that showed reluctance to accept black athletes, being heckled at games and snubbed for awards for the color of his skin, he undeniably earned his recognition and made the most of his opportunity to make history on the Boston Celtics. He always put his team first.
I told these guys before the game, I don't care what happens, I wouldn't trade you guys for any guys in the world.
And set an example of decency, even when the world refused to return the favor. An unprecedented basketball career didn't stop after 14 highly decorated seasons. 11 rings, 12 All-Star appearances, and 5 MVP awards. The NBA Finals MVP award now bearing his name. His dedication to excellence took him from game-changing player to boundary-breaking professional as the world's first black NBA coach. In the context of Jim Crow and the civil rights movement, a better example could not have been set. He gained unprecedented success with discipline, spoke his mind with civility.
Do you think that you will get some white kids to play basketball with Negro kids?
I think so. I don't see why not. My kids play with white kids, and nobody got hurt yet.
Marched on Washington with dignity. And years later, would add a Presidential Medal of Freedom to his unmatched collection of trophies. For those of us who find new ways of doing things, but suffer the ignorance of those who can't see the whole picture. Bill Russell showed the value of standing tall.
Okay, so let's talk about Laal Singh Chaddha, which is a Bollywood movie that is set to come out August 11th, a short while from when we are taping this. It's a movie that features Aamir Khan in the titular role. Kareena Kapoor is also going to be in the movie. She is, another A-list actress in Bollywood. Both of these actors, have been the peak of what you would expect from Bollywood in terms of both their capabilities as actors as well as, the portfolio that they have on offer. The last time I believe they were in a movie together, it was the one Three Idiots, which was very highly critical, regarded, critical acclaim, made a lot of money at the box office, and it was a great movie. It has a great message. This movie, Laal Singh Chaddha, is an official remake of Forrest Gump. It's being produced by Paramount Pictures Indian division by Com18, and it's being distributed internationally, I'm pretty sure, by Paramount Pictures themselves. So what do you guys think about this? I mean, just the fact that everything that I just mentioned so far, you got these two top shelf actors playing these roles, in this movie. It's a remake of Forrest Gump. It's an official remake. So this is not somebody who just decided to rip off the idea.
Yeah.
Paramount Pictures is involved with this. We're gonna watch it. We're gonna talk about it. So
Yeah,
Andrew, let's start
well-
with you. What do you think?
My first question is, what necessitates a remake of Forrest Gump, which has been sort of this multicultural touchstone that, it's a historical fiction piece, basically, and the history is going to be the same no matter what. To put a different character in those same shoes, well, clearly he's not going to be, from Alabama, and
Right.
it might recontextualize what one person can do in the course of the 20th century. And so, couple questions. Does it start and end in the same years? Does it show us different times? Clearly, same shirt designer, that's fine by me. And, which wars, which major events? Is this going to be something that necessitates a knowledge of Bollywood history or Indian history as opposed to American history? How does this figure into culture globally? Because Forrest Gump, everybody kind of that one, it seemed.
Yeah, well, okay. Are we having the same issue again? You guys can still hear me? Yeah?
Yeah, there was a
It was a glitch,
slight-
but you're good.
Yeah.
Okay. Lean more into Indian history. I think when I say it's a remake, it's not like they took the script and just said, like, translate to Hindi and make a movie. I think they're recontextualizing a lot of it, like you speculated. Huh? Oh,
Yeah, no,
sorry.
yeah, of course not.
No.
But
it's I'm sorry. So yeah, I do think it's going to require a little bit of knowledge of like Indian culture
Sure.
and history to understand some of the references or some of the things that the character is going to go through. However, I don't think if you're watching this movie without having a ton of knowledge of those things that you wouldn't enjoy it. Or at least that's the hope.
No.
I think if it's a good movie, like Forrest Gump, for example, you do not need to know all about the history to really like the movie for what it is. I think it gives you a fuller experience knowing the historical context within which the movie functions. But if you don't
Yeah.
know that, I think that movie did a great job with the characters that you could kind of just watch the movie for what it is.
Yeah. I hope that doesn't affect my, reception of it, but part of the feat of Forrest Gump is integrating real footage from American history into it. Technology's gotten a lot better, so it'll be interesting to see how they weave it all together.
We keep going back.
It becomes a Bollywood movie, the music. Laal Singh Chaddha and Forrest Gump. It'll be an interesting friends we can get. Till next time. Have a good week. Enjoy the movies out there. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.